Welcome back to Almost Above Average. I'm Chris McIntyre, the host, and today we're going to jump into part 2 with Miss Wendy Ella May. Super grateful she came back. I think we're going to keep sharing her story. It's just a fascinating story, and I'm really grateful to have met her. We've become really close friends over the last couple of years, and I'm just truly grateful that she's willing to share her story now with me on the podcast. So if you didn't see part 1, we covered a lot from her childhood and, but especially in this day and time, there is a lot of vernacular going around about gender identity, about the LGBTQ community, and there's not a whole lot of conversations being had with those in the community. So I'm grateful that I have a friend in that community that is willing to share this stuff with me. Because a lot of it I'm just ignorant about. I just don't know. I don't understand. And my hope is that the more I learn through the podcast, we can share it with the world and maybe take away some of the stigma around some of this stuff. So again, I was just really grateful to have Miss Wendy Ella May on. We discussed her being a political disruptor, and a lot of her runs for political offices. And it's just a really great story, and I'm excited to bring it to you. So Miss Wendy Ella May, here we go.
Loving Almost Above Average? Help us continue making a positive impact. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share your feedback or personal stories to mcmedia.network.llc@gmail.com. Your support means the world to us, and it keeps the engaging content coming. So thanks again.
Yeah, so how are you, Wendy?
I am wonderful and psyched to be on this show with you.
Oh, I'm excited to have you again. The first episode did a lot of we covered a lot of I don't know about a lot, but we covered, where you grew up in New Jersey, a little bit of your childhood down there, through the military, and some pretty harrowing experiences that you had in the military. And
then we jumped.
We jumped around a little bit, but I know when we finished, you were getting ready to go into a debate as a woman.
Right. So let me just take it back before we get there.
Yes, please.
So when I was 18 years old, I decided to run for school board in a little town I grew up in.
High school?
No, for school board. School board is the governing agent of the local.
You were 18 school. And you wanted to run for the school board.
Yes.
Were you a
nerd?
I
lost. I am a nerd. Chris, I lost by a very slim margin to someone that was 10 years older than me, who didn't last long. I kind of then decided that, I was getting married. And I kind of decided that my life had to go in another direction.
You were presenting as a male at that time, right?
That is correct. So I got married, 1981, my best friend, who to this day is still my best friend. I spend more time with her now than I did when we were married. 4 years later, she got pregnant. And that was 40 years ago. Hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, we lost a baby. To be exact, tomorrow is the anniversary of losing that baby. But through all thick and thin, I knew who I was. She knew who I was. So we lived that way for a long time, and we adopted a little boy in 1990. And in 1991, we moved to North Carolina for the first time.
In 1990, going through that adoption process, was it difficult? Because at the time, you wouldn't have been a lesbian couple because you were a male. So it would.
That's correct.
My apologies.
And it was also a family member. But we had went through some real troubling times. But I always knew who I was. So that takes us to 1991 when I came to North Carolina. And I left in 1996, and that's when my life changed again.
You came to North Carolina in 1991, and then in 96,
I left and I went elsewhere.
Okay. Not back home to Jersey?
No, I went elsewhere for a little while.
All right.
I ended up back in New Jersey and got involved again as a boy in local politics. A couple years later, I ran for the Neptune Township School Board. Didn't win. Then I moved after my mom died in 2001. I moved back to Bradley Beach, where I ran for town council. Remember the Ella May Stevenson story?
Yes.
She was my campaign manager.
Yeah.
A couple years later, I decide that I am going to be a Republican.
From a Democrat or?
No, I was nothing. I was unaffiliated.
Okay.
Unaffiliated. I became a Republican, and I was the municipal vice chair of the Republican Party in the town I grew up. The chair of the Republican Party in the town got himself into a little hot water. Basically, I think he had an affair. Whole world falls apart. He disappears off the face of the earth, and I'm now the chair as a boy.
Okay.
As a boy.
The department or the education board?
No. Out of the Bradley Beach Republican
Of the
Committee.
Republican Committee. Okay, gotcha.
But a couple years later, I decide to change my gender, and I became a girl.
Tell me about how did you come about making that decision?
Well, I think there was...
That's not a thing you just like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to be a girl today. That's not like one of those. That has to be a process.
Actually, it is a process, and it's a scary process for a lot of people. So I had identified for years as a boy. Wasn't content with myself. Didn't feel 100%. So I'm a veteran. I was at the VA. My grandmother gets sick. She's already 100 and she passes away. 102 years old. I go to the therapist and I am in tears. I had a friend of mine who said to me, "Why are you choosing a gender?" Because I have to. I have to choose male or female. And that's because of the way the law is written.
Okay.
So I decided that I wanted to change genders and become a girl. And remember, it's a process. So first I have my gender marker changed.
What does that mean?
So your gender marker is how you're identified on official documents of the government. Driver's license, passport, which is a big issue right now, the passport problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to my doctor at the VA and get an appointment with the endocrinologist. Go see the endocrinologist, and then I get to see the psychiatrist. And I spent a year getting my gender marker on my driver's license changed. But that was the only document I had changed.
Your driver's license?
My driver's license.
Right.
So it had my boy's name.
Birth certificate has male, right?
At that time. So it has my name on it, but it's the boy's name. And, you know, I'm kind of trying to figure out a whole bunch of stuff, okay? I'm looking, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking to see if I can find, and I think it's somewhere else because I don't see it here, my license. I had all my old licenses, but I don't have them. To show you that first, they changed my gender on my driver's license, which now caused major confusion.
Where at?
Anywhere. I get pulled over by the police. Now, again, I was in law enforcement, so it wasn't a big issue. But it would say my boy's name, but then down on the bottom where it identified my gender, it said female.
Yeah. Okay. That's totally confusing every time you have to pull it out then, right?
Every time I had to pull it out for anybody. So then I legally went and had my name changed. To do that, I had to advertise in a local newspaper. I had to appear in front of a judge. I had to pay a fee, which I did. But during that time frame, when I'm getting my name changed, I'm running for the town mayor.
As a boy, so in the middle of it, so you start the race as a man.
As a boy, as a man.
You intend on winning it as a female.
Well, first of all, I had no intentions of winning the race.
Okay.
I was actually...
Were you just being a disruptor?
I was being a disruptor.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that someone else that was in the race didn't win.
Gotcha.
And I knew that I could pull enough votes
to pull away.
To pull him and not let him win. But now getting back to where we finished, I go to the local Chamber of Commerce, which I was a charter member of as a boy. And it's at my local firehouse where I am a firefighter as a boy. My friend Christine is my campaign manager.
Christine Ella May, right?
No, Christine, her name is Christine Sack, and she was on the rescue squad with me, but she was my campaign manager. We go to my hair salon, get my hair done, my makeup done, get my nails. Now I'm presenting as a female.
Okay, gotcha.
This is the first time I'm out.
You got your license changed. You got the thing changed on your license, and now you're a female in the world.
No, I first got my name changed.
Okay.
I mean, first I got my driver's license changed. Then I got my name changed. So now my name and my gender match on my driver's license.
Right.
Okay. Now, but on the ballot for the mayoral race is my boy's name.
What
because
happened?
They can't change the ballot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But guess what? I'm not Wayne. I'm now Wendy.
Right. So Wayne's not running.
Well, Wayne doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Legally.
You killed Wayne.
Yeah. It's just like I ate my sister.
You just say you eat your sister, you ate yourself.
Okay. Now, here's the deal. The deal is I'm at the Chamber of Commerce for their debate, but I'm presenting as a girl.
Can they tell? Can everyone tell?
This is where it gets interesting. So Christine and I show up at the firehouse about a half hour before the debate. None of the other candidates are there yet. No one in the town knows that I have changed gender, changed name, and are now presenting as a woman. No one.
So you're just a stranger now.
This is my first time in public. So I go. Christine goes up to the lady who is in charge. She's the executive director, Shirley Ayers. She's the executive director for the Chamber of Commerce, and she's in charge of the debate. So Christine says, where do the candidates sit? And with this story, it's kind of funny because Gary Ingolstadt, who was the person I was supporting, was sitting in the first seat next to the moderator. Next to the first candidate was Dr. Kotler, who was a local doctor who was on the rescue squad with me. And he was in the seat next to Gary Ingolstadt. Now, both of them were members of council. Then there was me, or a position for Wayne to sit in.
That all of a sudden...
And then there was another guy who I don't even remember, Joe somebody, but he was sitting in the last seat. So I proceed to go behind the dais, which is the table, and I sit down in the position 3 seat. And Miss Ayers says, no, that you have to go sit out there because this is for the candidates.
And you're like, hello.
So no. I'm going to play with it a little. So I said, okay. So I go around the diocese again. And Christine says to her, well, I'm Christine Sack. I am Ms. May's campaign manager. She goes, Ms. May? You mean Reverend Dr. May? And she said, yes. And why did you just tell Ms. May that she couldn't sit there? Well, that's Wayne May's seat. And Christine says, yes, Dr. May's seat. Well, there was some girl sitting in there. And Christine said, no, that's Reverend Dr. May. And she said, no, Reverend Dr. May is a boy. So that was my first time going out in public as a girl.
That sounds kind of fun. I bet there's some emotional stuff going on, but it sounds kind of interesting. Like, I would love to be... It sounds like a practical joke.
So what's even more interesting is we go through the debate, we answer all the questions, and there's a reporter there from the Asbury Park Press, the local daily newspaper, the Coaster, which is the weekly newspaper, and then the Co-Star, which is another weekly newspaper. So the reporter from the Co-Star comes up to me, because everybody knows me, but they know me as Wayne, the disruptor.
I can see it.
Okay? I've been lobbying, I'm the chair of the Republican Party in the town. And she comes up and she says, I want to interview you because you're making history. I said, absolutely. Give you all the interview you want. Mm-hmm. So I have a full page spread in the next Thursday or Wednesday edition of the Co-Star.
The Co-Star?
The Co-Star. This is the week after the debate.
Okay, I was like, I thought you were talking about present times. I was like, you got another article?
No.
Gotcha.
So, but I'm a disruptor, so I always have something going. So that's the story, how I show up the first time as a female at the mayoral debate. The lady that I helped hire didn't even recognize me. That's how good I looked. Not like I do now. So I want to talk about something else before we get too deep. I think you probably have been following the news lately. Mm-hmm. There's been 2 really big events occurring, one right here in my county. So the Johnston County School Board was trying to take out sexual orientation and gender identity protection away from the LGBTQ students.
The Johnston County?
Just in Johnston County. They have tabled that. Thank God for a lot of people who have come and protected the LGBTQ community.
How did they do that? Did they speak out? Did they call the congressman?
They speak out. They came to the Board of Education meeting. Awesome. They were very, very loud, and they got their point across.
I love that. Were you out there supporting them?
No, I was not, because what am I?
What are you? You're a lot of things, Wendy.
No, but what am I known for?
Poetry?
Stirring the pot.
Yeah. Disrupting.
Mm-hmm. So I was stirring the pot behind the scene, not in front of the scene. But that takes me to, you just said Congress, and that takes me to my next thing I want to point out. So in this last election, the state of Delaware elected the first transgender woman in the nation to be a Congress member.
I did hear about that. Yo, what up? This is Little Dice Rutabaga on the mic.
You know what separates the champions from the rest? It's not just about the will to win, it's about the will to prepare. I'm not just doing pull-ups, I'm pushing limits. Every rep is a reminder that I'm capable of more than I thought possible. That's why I chose Bucked Up. Their supplements give me the edge I need to take my workouts to the next level. From pre-workouts to recovery, they've got everything I need to stay on top of my game. With Bucked Up, I get the energy, focus, and endurance to crush every session. Whether you're a pro or just starting out, their products will help you achieve your fitness goals faster. Ready to unlock your full potential? Visit buckedup.com and use code McMedia1 at checkout for exclusive savings available only to my followers.
That is awesome.
Her name is Sarah McBride. Congresswoman McBride is a friend of mine.
Really?
Yeah, we go back to 2016 when I was a delegate for the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. Through my friend Janice and my friend Babs, I was introduced to Sarah. So it became for me a pleasurable event, even though the orangutan won the presidency, that the people of the state of Delaware respected her as an elected official. She was a senator, a state representative or state senator, and elected her to Congress. Now, first of all, she's a trailblazer, Chris. No one has ever been trans or even non-binary in Congress.
Yeah.
2018, I ran as the first non-binary in the state of North Carolina. I ran for my party's endorsement to run for Congress, and I lost. It's my trend. That's why I'm a recovering politician.
Disruptor.
But anyway, so the other day, Congresswoman McBride sits on a couple different committees because the freshmen get assigned to committees. So the congressman from Texas, who's the chair, says he'd like to introduce Mr.
Just to be
the Congress member from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
I don't like that.
Well, first she responds, Madam Chairman, a dig. But then another member of Congress, a fellow Democrat, asked the Republican chair what he just said. And he repeats it.
Mr. McBride thing?
Mr. McBride, Congress member from Delaware. Well, it starts a whole event. So the Congress member who's standing up for Sarah says pretty much, I'm not going to participate in this ridiculous. I've known you for years, Mr. Congress member, Mr. Chair. This is ridiculous. I just want you to see how where I'm going with this point. He literally adjourned the committee. And then Sarah went on national television, CNN, and said, I live rent-free in their minds.
Absolutely.
They are so worried about me. They are stalking me. They are et cetera, et cetera.
Look at like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, and these other crazy MAGA people. They spend so much time just to try to tear her down. You know,
right.
Instead of focusing
just
on focus on the country, dude. You know,
correct. So I get cards like this one all the time, and this one is "You're loved." It's a cute little card, and it says, "You're loved. You'll always be enough. You are brave, you are strong, you are beautiful, and I believe in you." And then the person writes, just a little note to let you know I'm thinking about you. I'm concerned for your mental health right now, and a little about safety. Fighting every single day has to be exhausting. I see you. This is why I am a disruptor.
Beautiful. Is that from her, Sarah?
No, this is from a local person.
Okay.
Who saw my Channel 11 interview, and knows that I fight every single day. So you asked me a question earlier about my transition and why I did it. I did it because I felt more feminine than masculine. But I'm non-binary, so I don't choose a gender.
It's a society thing. You know, the longer I talk to you and just know you, it's a societal thing, male and female, that you have to choose kind of thing. You know?
Well, you should never have to.
Right.
Chris, you should never have to choose.
Right. Because there is a way. I mean, I have a lot of feminine qualities inside of me, but I don't feel like a woman per se. I know I can identify those feelings as female.
Right.
I don't know what that means.
So let me ask you a question. Biologically,
Sure.
you should know the answer to this. We're all born what?
We're all conceived of female, but we need the X chromosome.
Very strongly, we are all conceived as female.
Right.
Why should your birth certificate define you?
I don't think it should. And like the more time goes along, it just seems like that was the understanding we had at that time. Now things have evolved. It might be time to relook at some of those things,
But when we go back and look at gender, so I want to separate something here.
Okay.
Gender is not sexual orientation. Gender is gender. And you can be male, you can be female, you can be non-binary, you can be queer, you can be questionable, you can be all of those things in gender, two-spirited. Then let's look at sexual orientation, which has been lumped in with gender.
Right. Those are different things.
They are. So somebody asked me the other day, when did I know I was a girl? All my life. When was it confirmed? CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. That story.
Oh, the period. Every month you're a boy having a period.
The story from the last episode.
Yeah, check out part 1 if you guys didn't see that. That was a really
right. That's when it was
story.
confirmed.
Okay.
That was when it was confirmed. But I lived as a what?
As a boy back then.
Right, and I was getting testosterone shots, which I'm dealing with today.
The side
because
effects?
I'm gonna reach over here. Hang on. Did I freeze?
Yeah, you're okay. I can hear you though.
Well, hopefully it'll pop back. Went the wrong way. Sorry, I got kicked out of your studio.
Never again.
Like you said, if we didn't have technical problems, what would we have?
No, Almost Above Average is all about the technical problems. So there we go.
It is right. So I went to get my book that talks about my medication and what I did. So my estradiol is in the range of a female.
What is that? Is that estrogen?
My testosterone is 3.5 times what it should be for a male.
Dang.
So my testosterone right now is 367.2 NGDLs.
Kind of like a UFC fighter or something.
Actually, about 100 higher than them.
Yeah, that's pretty major.
I'm not on steroids. I provide my medication. I take 3 meds for my type 2 diabetes. I have 2 pain medications that I don't take, but I have them. I have my hormone replacement therapy, and I have my vitamins and my cholesterol and my psych meds, because I hide nothing from nobody. But they're all in this book because I'm on a health journey.
That's right.
To get healthier.
That's what this podcast is about, sharing stories,
Right. And one of the things that I just started today was mushroom coffee.
What's the brand?
It's called Rise.
I saw that. Yeah, how is that?
Yes. Actually, I drank this size cup.
Yeah.
I did not go out today because I had someone coming to the house to service my AC, my HVAC. So I didn't go out and get my coffee like I get every day.
Yeah.
Usually by 10:30, if I haven't had coffee, I have a tremendous migraine headache. And, I only drink 20 ounces of coffee a day. But I didn't get to go there this morning and get my junk food, alias known as my
Starbucks?
my sausage biscuit and my 20 ounce of coffee because I was tied up. And then I didn't have a chance to get out to go get coffee. Do you know I have a little headache? It's about this big compared to like this when I don't drink coffee. Right. So it has caffeine in it, and it's all natural. And it tastes halfway decent. I didn't put anything in it.
Does it taste like coffee?
It kind of tastes like coffee.
I guess I really don't care if it tastes like coffee. I just want an alternative. I'm trying to cut sugars out and sugars. And I love coffee creamer.
Well, first of all, when you find out where coffee creamer comes from, you won't like it.
Why?
It comes from the secretions of beavers.
What? Beaver secretions?
That's where it comes from.
I gotta do some more research on that.
Do some research on it. I have a very, very good friend of mine that is a trapper. He traps for a living. In his late 80s, early 90s, been trapping forever. And he told me this, and I didn't believe him. I thought he was full of shit.
Yeah.
And then I Googled French vanilla creamer. You will not catch me with any artificial creamer, period. Seriously.
I'm not gonna look.
Well, here's the thing. There's alternatives. Do you know who Dr. Livegood is?
It sounds familiar.
Living Good?
Sounds familiar.
He's from, I believe, the Morrisville area of North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
You should look at his stuff because
What was his name?
Living Good, I believe. Yeah, I believe that's what it is. I can tag you in one of his videos for you. But Chris, let's talk about now. Okay, so I moved to North Carolina in 2015. Buy a house. I become a landowner. I run for office. 2016 for county commissioner. First open LGBTQ person to run in Johnston County. Open. In 2018, I run for Congress, first non-binary to run in North Carolina. 2020, I run for county commissioner again. And in 2022, the last time I said I was going to ever run, I ran for the North Carolina House because I'm a disruptor.
Well, why do you think you didn't win? Was your campaign strong?
Because I am 63. Well, first of all, let's start with where I live. If I lived in Wake County, I would have won. If I lived in Orange County or Durham County, I would have won. If I lived in Mecklenburg County, I would have won.
Yeah, the rural areas out in around here, they're pretty.
So I live in a place where Democrats have not won an election since 2000 and
Dang, it's a bad run.
20 years.
Yeah.
This was a Democratic town. This was a Democratic county for years. And then it switched in the early 2000s. And it's now a Republican. And I carry the same amount of votes every other Republican candidate has.
Yeah. But do you consider yourself a Republican? You
Every
ran as a
other
Republican,
Democratic
right?
county.
You ran as a Republican, right?
No. In this county, I ran as a Democrat.
Oh, okay. So you would consider
I
yourself a
switched
Democrat
party.
today?
I am not. I'm an unaffiliated again. So
Okay.
I've went a 360 back to where I started.
Nice.
But here's the thing, Chris. Government is local. Everything starts at the local level. So I live in a county that has no elected Democratic stakeholders above municipal. So our county board of commissioners, all Republican. Our county sheriff, Republican. Our county register of deeds, Republican. Our county clerk of court. And these are friends of mine. Okay? So Chris, when I started to talk about being an outsider in North Carolina, my family's been here since 1600s, but I'm an outsider. I talk different, I look different. Let's not even talk about my sexuality, okay, where somebody tried to blackmail me the other night, okay, because he found pictures. He found that, well, I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I hold nothing, I hide nothing. If you
Right.
Google me, you will find out who I am.
I admire
That's
that.
simple. I don't have to hide. I don't have to lie about who I am. I don't have to hide.
I think
Because
those
if I
things
have
are
to-
part of the reason why I even connected with you in the first place. I admire how confident you are and how confident you speak, and you just
thank
can
you.
tell that you believe what you're saying, and I love that.
Well, I'm real.
Yeah, I love that.
So this guy calls me at I don't even remember what time it was, from Illinois. He finds my photos, naked, my dirty photos, and wait a minute, and he threatens to blackmail me, and he pulls up a list.
If you tell everybody everything, it's like, what are you going to blackmail me with, man?
Well, listen, he pulls up a list of all the females that are on my Facebook or my Instagram, blah, blah, blah. And he, has information about my mom and my brothers, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. He deep dived into me. So he says, well, give me $1,000 and I'll let it go away.
Yeah.
And I said, I'd rather use that $1,000 to make you go away. Because you can't blackmail somebody that's open and out there.
Yeah. What are you going to take from me? I've already given it away.
Listen, there's trollers who are going to troll this episode just because they're going to troll Facebook when they hear it's me. They're going to troll Instagram. I love being in their head.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Because I'm occupying a space in their head. I love when I get negative comments. I report them, but I love getting negative comments, Chris, because
they're engaged.
I'm in your head.
They're paying attention.
Yeah, they are, and I'm in their head.
Right.
And if I'm in their head, wow, I must have some ultimate power.
Yep. That's my strategy too.
See, I don't have to hide behind a fake. I don't have to hide behind a lie. There's two reasons. First of all, it's too much work to remember lies.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It's just exhausting. I know who I am. I've never lied about who I am. And most of all, if you know me, you know I would never lie. I'm not going to bullshit you if and this is one of my biggest issues. I don't sugarcoat things.
I don't think that's an issue. I think that's a strength.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying it is a strength for me because I don't sugarcoat, but it's an issue for others.
Yeah,
because
it is.
They want to hear the fluff. They want to hear what you think they need, not what they really need, but what you think they need. And Chris, let me tell you, that's exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of feel like I'm in the same boat. Like I would rather, I like telling my story so you don't have to wonder and you don't have any questions. Like, you can judge me. I know you're going to judge me for what I am, and I'm okay with it.
Listen, I don't care. I honestly don't care, because not everyone is going to like me. Not everyone that says, so I use this philosophy. Let me get it to it here. So not everyone that goes to church is a Christian. Not everyone that's in jail is a criminal. And not everyone that says they're my friend are really my friend. So if you know that going in, you don't get disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. If
you know that people want to be, what's the word I want to use? Acknowledged. They want to be petted. Good person.
We need that. I need that sometimes.
I know, but you don't need to hear it if it's not true.
No, I don't want it if it's not true. And I set my whole life before I got sober was set up with people around me that would tell me how cool I am, how great everything I'm doing is. Yeah. Now I don't like that. I still meet people like that, but it turns me off. Like, I don't want to be around you. I want the guy that tells me, hey, you look fatter today, dude. Did you work out this week? Like, yeah, hold on. Like, I need real advice.
But you know what, Chris? Working out your physical body is not everything in this world.
It is the biggest stress relief I found.
Yeah. Yes. But working out your mind is.
Right. Absolutely.
Remember, 80% of the people are simple. They just follow directions. 10% are referees. They understand the simples. And 10% are uniques that they don't understand the simples at all.
Right.
That's just life.
And I'm just a unique. We went through this.
You're just a unique. You are absolutely
just unique.
Just a unique. You're a referee. That's why you're so good at what you do.
That's why I'm calling some balls and strikes in here,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that's why you live what you live.
That makes sense.
So today, Wendy Ella May is not just a artist, a published author, a grandma, a lover, a friend, but complete. And to all the people that are listening that are wondering who they are, they know who they are. Let them shine and not be hid under a basket, a bushel. Let your light shine. Your light has to be who you are, Chris. And guess who controls that light besides God? You do. It's that simple.
We have to end it there because that was perfect.
Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Almost Above Average. We hope that you found Wendy Ella May's story of political aspirations, gender identity, and LGBTQ advocacy both inspiring and enlightening. As we wrap up, we'd like to remind you of a few key takeaways from today's conversation. Number 1, the importance of authenticity in both personal life and politics. Number 2, the challenges and triumphs of transitioning and embracing one's true identity. And number 3, the significance of LGBTQ representation in government and society. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. Please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. If you found value in today's discussion, we encourage you to share this episode with a friend who might also appreciate it. By spreading the word, you're helping to foster understanding and acceptance. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and stay updated on future episodes covering important topics like gender identity, politics, and personal empowerment. We're always eager to hear from our listeners. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episodes, please write to us at mcmedia.network.llc@gmail.com. Thanks for being a part of the community. And remember, as Wendy said, let your light shine and embrace your true self. Until next time, this is Almost Above Average.
grateful. There ain't no time to waste no more. I'm finally on it this time. Made it through the gauntlet, alright. Y'all make choices, this one is mine. Step into the sunshine. In a way I'm going back again. And people like they really was my end. Alcohol and drugs were my friends. Till they brought me to my knees again. It's like a miracle to end this cycle. And finally wake up to my own revival. It was me, I was my only rival. Now I know. All I need inside of me. If you coming with me, then I'll rise for free. Finally found the secret to my recipe. Yeah. Mix it up, and lay it all out for the world to see. Don't let it go into my destiny. I got no more lies or tricks in my sleeve. I'm finally free. On the sidelines, and all the people are pushed straight out of my line. And all these lessons I've learned, and now the tables have turned, and this position was earned, and now it's my time. Every second I'm grateful, yeah. All these lessons I'm thankful, yeah. And every breath that I take, no longer a mistake. All the people coming till they hold me down and break me. All I need inside of me, and if you come to with me, there's no rise for free. Finally found the secret to my recipe, yeah. Mix it up, live it up, and lay it all out for the world to see. I know it's always been my destiny. I got no more lies or tricks in my sleeve. I'm finally
fucking disease is always happening. I don't wanna let it control me for a second longer. Watching these days going by, slowly I'm getting stronger. Ain't going backwards no more, forever moving forward. I got both feet out the door. Yeah, feet out the door. All I need inside of me, and if you come with me, there's no rise for free. Finally found the secret to my recipe, yeah. Live it up, and lay it all out for the world to see. I know it's always been